To be a video on the introduction for Judaism and Christianity. So let's get started. Okay, first we have these are the major religions of the world. Just a quick map to look at. Now, this doesn't mean that obviously everyone in America is Christian and South America is Christian. These are what's the most popular religion in these areas. So wherever it's purple, that's where Christianity is most popular. Green, Islam is most popular. Judaism is this light blue. It's right in here. It's a little hard to see. Hinduism, Buddhism, so on. So we are talking about, in this unit, Judaism and Christianity, and those are monotheistic religions. So monotheistic religions are religions where you're only worshiping one God, and a lot of other religions at the time were based off of other gods. So, and these concepts of kind of like fear was often, a lot of times in the past, people had the opinions that, the gods, like think of the Greek gods, right? People would fear the Greek gods. They feared their powers. They would do things to want to appease them. And these religions brought around more of a feeling of that they weren't necessarily, they didn't really have to be quite as afraid of them, but it's a little bit more complex than just the statement is stating right here. And this is also for Islam, and Islam is also kind of thrown in there with those pictures because you can see how Islam is also very widespread, and Islam also traces its roots back to the same roots of Christianity and Judaism. This says that worshiping one God was a new concept, and that is sometimes said because these religions made the worship of one God very popular, but it would be inaccurate to say that it's a new concept, no one had thought of it before. This is actually it wasn't necessarily a new concept before. Lots of these religions borrow things from other religions, such as Zoroastrianism, and which are older. But in terms of like, most people wouldn't have heard of those religions. So for a lot of people, this was kind of the first time that they were exposed to this concept of one God with these religions. So this is the timeline for monotheistic religion. So the first world religion is Judaism, and this is about starting around 2000 BC. And then we get the second religion from these monotheistic religions, and that starts around the 26 to 36 BCE. And then the third one comes around at Islam becomes popular around 610 CE. So you can see they all have the same, they're different, very different times. Judaism is the oldest, Islam is the most recent, but they all trace their roots back to the same place. So right now we're going to kind of leave Islam behind because that does depart quite a bit from Jewish and Christian kind of theology and beliefs. And we are talking, this unit is on Judaism and Christianity. So these are their holy books, as kind of holy books in terms of like what all religions usually have books that they would be considered as their holy books, and these are the holy books of these. There is overlap. So the Jewish Bible is called the Tanakh, or it has that little guttural sound at the end. It's also known as the Old Testament. It's most commonly known as the Old Testament. So Jews, even today, Jews are focused, when they're talking about the Jewish Bible, they're looking at the Old Testament. And that includes the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible and has lots of instructions and law and history about how things got created. And then there are also prophetic writings, and then just other general writings like poems and stories and things like that. The Christian Bible includes the Old Testament, but they added to it the New Testament. So the New Testament includes so it's everything that the Jewish Bible has, right? Because the Old Testament, but it's also the New Testament, and this is what's in the New Testament. So the New Testament has the Gospels, which is the first 4 books of the New Testament, and these are stories and teachings and sayings of Jesus. They have the epistles, which are letters that were written to other churches in the beginning of the Christian, like the time of Christianity as it spread. And then there was a revelation. This shouldn't say to John. It's just a it was a it's a revelation, which is an apocalyptic prophecy about the end times. It's the last book of the Bible. So one of the important things to understand with Judaism and Christianity and how it all starts is there's a covenant and the story of Abraham. So a covenant is an agreement between 2 parties. Lots of times another good word for covenant would be like a contract. A contract is more like a business version of a covenant. So in the Old Testament, it describes how God asked Abraham, who was one of the first prophets of Judaism, to do certain things in return for which God would take special care of him and his followers. Basically, God told Abraham that if you follow my rules, then I will take care of you, and you'll have lots of offspring, and if they're all my followers, you're going to be my chosen people. And so God didn't just want the Jews to follow a particular set of laws, but live their lives in a particular way to show the world that God was actually the one and only all-powerful God, and that and kind of try and convince people that people should follow him and worship him. The story of Abraham continued. So during this ancient time period, people believed that all things created around them were produced by the gods. Abraham was asked by God to sacrifice his son Isaac, sacrifice his way for people to try and give back to the gods. So one of the things with this story was that at the time, and this is common with Roman gods, with some Greek gods, sacrifice was a way that people in ancient times and still today would show the gods that they believe in that they were willing to take something that they cherished, right, and give it up for God. It's a way of showing devotion. Like you'd take your most prized cow and kill the cow and you leave it or you burn it. A lot of times they would burn it in these ancient religions. And, if you burned it, then you couldn't use it, right? You couldn't use it for food. You couldn't use it for anything. And that would be really important to those people at this time. So it was a major sacrifice a lot of times for people to sacrifice their crops that they grew, the animals that they raised, or even family members or people. So in this story, Abraham doesn't actually sacrifice his son Isaac. God comes in at the end and says, "No, don't do that." But kind of the point is that in this story, one of the things that God was trying to tell Abraham was that Abraham didn't have to follow the old ways necessarily of sacrificing. That he could just follow God without doing that. And so this was kind of a transition from an old way of thinking to a newer way of thinking. And that will kind of lead us into the next lesson, which is about Moses and God leading, and Moses and the Exodus, God leading people out of Egypt. And continues on the story of the Abraham's descendants who eventually become known as the Israelites.